In a single afternoon, Hannibal killed more Roman soldiers than Rome lost in some entire wars. August 2nd, 216 BCE became Rome's darkest day, when tactical genius turned the Battle of Cannae into a slaughter so complete that 70,000 Romans died in just 8 hours. This is the story of how one man with 50,000 soldiers destroyed the largest army Rome had ever assembled. By 216 BCE, Hannibal had been terrorizing Italy for 3 years. The Roman Senate was furious. They assembled the largest army in Roman history, 86,400 men, including 8 full legions plus Italian allies. This massive force marched toward the small town of Cannae, where Hannibal waited with just 50,000 troops. The Romans were confident. How could they possibly lose with nearly twice as many soldiers? The Roman army was a terrifying sight. 86,000 disciplined soldiers in perfect formation, armed with their famous gladius swords and scutum shields. 2 consuls commanded this force, Paulus, who favored caution, and Varro, who demanded immediate attack. Hannibal's army was smaller but more diverse, 32,000 infantry, including Spanish warriors, Celtic fighters, and elite Libyan veterans, plus 10,000 cavalry. The Romans had one major weakness: only 6,000 horsemen compared to Hannibal's 10,000 cavalry. What Hannibal did next defied every principle of ancient warfare. Instead of putting his strongest troops in the center like every general before him, he did the opposite. He placed his weakest soldiers, the Spanish and Celtic warriors, right in the middle where the Romans would attack. His elite Libyan heavy infantry, equipped with captured Roman armor, he hid on the flanks. To his officers, this looked like suicide. The Romans would smash through the weak center and slaughter everyone. But Hannibal had a different idea. He was going to use the Romans' own aggression against them. The Romans charged exactly as Hannibal predicted. Their massive column formation crashed into his center, and the Spanish and Celtic troops began falling back. To the Romans, this looked like victory. They pressed forward harder, packing tighter together as they pursued what they thought were fleeing enemies. Meanwhile, Hannibal's superior cavalry destroyed the Roman horsemen on both flanks. But the real genius was happening in the center. Hannibal's retreat wasn't random. His troops were falling back in perfect formation, creating a crescent shape that drew the Romans deeper and deeper into a trap. As the Romans pushed into the bow-shaped formation, they became compressed and disorganized. They were so focused on pursuing the fleeing enemy that they didn't notice the danger building on their flanks. Then Hannibal gave the signal. His elite Libyan infantry, fresh and perfectly positioned, attacked the Roman flanks. At the same time, his cavalry returned from destroying the Roman horsemen and struck from behind. In minutes, the Romans found themselves surrounded on 3 sides. Panic began to spread as soldiers realized they were trapped. What happened next was one of the most complete military disasters in history. The Romans couldn't maneuver, couldn't use their weapons effectively, and couldn't retreat. Hannibal had achieved something military historians call a double envelopment, surrounding an enemy army on all sides. The methodical killing began. Roman soldiers were crushed together so tightly they couldn't even lift their swords. For hours, the slaughter continued as Carthaginian soldiers systematically eliminated the trapped legions. When the sun set on Cannae, 70,000 Romans and allies lay dead on the battlefield. Consul Paulus died fighting in the ranks. 80 senators were killed, a devastating political blow. Most military tribunes and centurions were dead. Only about 10,000 Romans escaped with the surviving consul Varro. The Carthaginians lost just 6,000 men, mostly from the troops Hannibal had deliberately sacrificed in the center. The kill ratio was 12-1 in favor of Carthage. No army in history had achieved such a lopsided victory against a larger force. After Cannae, Hannibal's officers begged him to march immediately on Rome. The city was defenseless, panic-stricken. But Hannibal made a decision that historians still debate. He chose not to attack Rome directly. He lacked siege engines to assault the massive walls. His army was too small to surround such a large city. Instead, he hoped Italian allies would abandon Rome voluntarily. This decision may have cost him the war, but at Cannae he had achieved tactical perfection. The Battle of Cannae changed warfare forever. The double envelopment maneuver is still taught in military academies worldwide, 2,000 years later. Rome was forced to abandon direct confrontation and adopt guerrilla tactics. The psychological impact was enormous. Romans developed a lasting fear of Hannibal's name. Modern generals from Napoleon to Patton studied Cannae to understand how superior tactics could overcome superior numbers. Cannae proved that in warfare, genius beats numbers every time. Hannibal took everything the Romans thought they knew about battle and turned it against them. With perfect timing, psychological insight, and tactical brilliance, he achieved what military historians call the perfect battle. A victory so complete, it seems impossible until you understand exactly how he did it. The ghost of Cannae would haunt Roman military thinking for centuries, changing how they fought wars forever.